Welcome to Women's Wars, a podcast series from Bern. I am Georgina Bame. For this series, I have interviewed 10 extraordinary women from countries that emerged from the former Yugoslavia. They are activists and journalists who were inspired by the wars of the 90s to take action to support the survivors and advocate for human rights. By telling their stories, these courageous women show how wars continue to have an impact on ordinary people decades after they were fought. In this episode of Bern's Women's Wars, Montenegrin journalist Milka Tadic Mijovic recalls how she was fired for defying the Serbian regime's war narrative. Milka Tadic Mijovic paid a high price for her reporting. She lost her job and some of her friends for her critical stance. As Yugoslavia headed for collapse, she was working for Montenegrin state media. Her articles criticizing the politics of nationalist Serbian President Slobodan Milosevic and his followers had put her under an uncomfortable spotlight. Eventually, they cost Tadic Mijovic her job, and she wasn't the only one.
We were a tiny minority. Not many of us reported about the consequences of those politics. In a way, we did. So it was really very hard for all of us to function. I lost my job. I was working in one youth magazine in Montenegro. So I lost both positions. And then we tried to do the other way. We found our own papers in which we explain, we try to explain actually what is going on. So it was hard in a way to live under such a pressure because we were of course enemies of the state. But on the other hand, we found to actually little space to be free and to write in a way according to the facts.
After being fired, Tadic Mijovic founded Monitor, the first independent weekly magazine in Montenegro, revolutionizing war crimes coverage in the country by daring to report on crimes committed by her compatriots.
We tried to report about the war crimes committed by us, by people from Montenegro. We tried to report about war in Bosnia, really what is going on, what the Serb forces are doing there. We tried to present what is really going on in this force. And all these stories were not just the one I wrote, but my colleagues has been writing. All these stories really were very, very important, I think, for the Montenegrin public to be aware of what is really going on. And today, when somebody is talking about the war and what's happened in the 90s, they are using the stuff we wrote. They are using very much facts from Monitor and from other anti-war publications, but Monitor was the most important in Montenegro. So to report about our own crimes and the responsibility of our own politicians, that I found the most important, and not just during the war, but after the war.
In this heated wartime environment, her dissident media activities had a personal cost. Not only did she lose her job, but also members of her family and friends.
Propaganda during this kind, the war propaganda was very, very strong. And many of my friends, many of my relatives, they didn't understand why I'm doing so, why I'm against the state, why I became an enemy, So it was... I lost many of my friends. I lost contact with some of my very close relatives.
Earlier this year, the Montenegrin Special State Prosecutor's Office, STD, reopened investigations into war crimes allegedly committed on the territory of Montenegro during the bloody breakup of socialist Yugoslavia, including those against 292 Croatian soldiers and civilians held in Morin, 8 of whom died. Montenegro, as part of Yugoslavia, directly participated in the wars of the 90s in Croatia from 1991 to 1995 and Bosnia and Herzegovina from 1992 to 1995. And Montenegrin citizens fought in the 1998-1999 Kosovo War as members of the Yugoslav army. There were no armed clashes on Montenegrin territory, but war crimes were committed there. In other war crime trials in Montenegro, the 26 defendants were acquitted due to lack of evidence, and they cannot be tried again on the same charges.
So you have worked on transitional justice during the war and after the war. Do you think there is some type of justice that happened in post-Yugoslav countries?
Unfortunately, I think we are at the very beginning. Many of the Montenegrin citizens, they are not aware what happened during the 90s. And I think in all the region, we have a long way to go because we usually did not concentrate on us. We always spoke about the others and the responsibility of the others. And the others were always guilty. We never actually watch in our garden, if I can say so, or in our backyard or whatever. So that's why I think we are just at the beginning of the process. On the other hand, our judiciary didn't do a job. Many of the war criminals in Montenegro are still free. Our judiciary did not pay attention on many of the cases through the past, so I think we have a long way to go.
Via Monitor, Tadic Mijovic nonetheless managed to leave behind an important legacy, the testimony of a war and how, according to her, the Yugoslav wars had a deeply personal impact on many people who witnessed neighbors, relatives, and even themselves turning into war criminals.
All these stories are for me one story of our disaster, and story how ordinary people, our neighbors, became the war criminals, Some of them, some of my friends knew, but they have been working during the weekends as a warriors in Bosnia, in Croatia, and they committed the war crimes. And, we knew some of them from the streets. They look like a normal people. So how these people became criminals, this was always for me a big question mark.
Did you find any answer, an actual concrete answer to that question?
But I think this madness of nationalism is something which is really it's a ground for the war crime. Chauvinism and national ideology that others are the enemies, and the fear of the others. All this propaganda which was then spread during the 90s through the main media controlled by those in power. This was a tool which actually pushed many of those normal people to become war criminals.
Thank you for listening. You can find more installments of our Women's War series on our website, balkaninsight.com, or wherever you get your podcasts.